Hey, pleasant good evening to everyone. This is Taker's Minion. Yes, the normal host is Alf tonight. He's at Raw in Charlotte. So he's not taking part in this is the alternative to Raw. This is Connoisseurs of Wrestling's episode number 26. Good grief. The Phenom that is the Undertaker. That's what this is about. However, I'm joined as always by my two lovely co-hosts tonight. The curator of everything that is the Connoisseurs of Wrestling, Legends Lover. Good evening, hon.
Hi, everybody.
How are you feeling today?
I'm a little sore, but bored.
Yeah, sore. I wish your shoulder would stop hurting you.
Yes, so do I.
And then we got the wild man from Chicago that is always here. The newest member, still the baby of the bunch, George Atsaves. Good evening, George.
Mr. Minion, Miss Lover, good evening to the both of you.
How are you this lovely evening?
No complaints, my friends. Just another Monday talking history of wrestling on tap. I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. We were discussing with Biff Kensington III last week, Kane. And then we had that breaking news about Roman Reigns, and we kind of talked about that for 40 minutes and then shut the show down. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, the half of the Brothers of Destruction with Undertaker. The build up for his debut went on for what, a good 3-4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Where
the skits with the fire and
and Paul Bearer, Kane, your brother's alive. Kane is alive, and he's coming for you. I remember some of those promos, and then Kane showing up at In Your House. In Your House? What the hell? Which one was
Bad
it?
Blood.
Bad Blood.
Hell in a Cell match. One of my all-time favorite matches the WWE's ever done.
That was the very first Hell in a Cell.
The very first one.
And that was an Undertaker special. He came up with that idea. It
was great because he finally got the whole point of the Cell was that he needed to get his hands on Shawn Michaels, but every time he got close to getting his hands on Shawn Michaels, DX would run interference. And finally Taker came up with a cage match with a roof so that nobody can come in or out. And then he finally got his hands on that rat bastard, Shawn Michaels, and he whipped him from pillar to post like he so richly deserved.
Right. And the Crimson Mask was on Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yes. And it was a thing of beauty, was it not?
Yes, it was. However, Undertaker did not win that match due to interference from his brother Kane, who came to the ring, came to the cell, literally ripped the door off its hinges, went in the ring, looked at his brother, chokeslammed him, picked him up, tombstoned him, and Shawn rolled over to get the 1, 2, 3. But that was our introduction to Kane.
And I'll never forget Jim Ross. That's gotta be Kane.
No, I think that was Vince at that time.
I thought JR was on commentary.
Not that night. No, this was what?
Not midnight. October 97, JR was calling for the company.
Yeah, but I think that sound, if I'm not mistaken, that was Vince saying that's got to be Kane.
Well, let me find out. What's all?
I believe so. I believe I'm correct.
Okay, let me.
That's got to be Kane. That's got to be Kane. And that was our introduction to him.
See? Well, all it says is that both were on commentary.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. And our favorites, Carlos and Hugo, in Spanish.
Yep.
What is your favorite? We were talking about this a little bit last week before we had to call the audible.
Right.
One of the things I loved about Kane is that he constantly subtly changed his character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
always kind of kept it fresh. He started with the mask, then he took the mask off because the whole thing was that he wears the mask because he's scarred, but it turns out that the scarring wasn't physical scarring, it was like psychological scarring, you know?
Correct.
And then he didn't have the mask, and then he had the voice box, and then he didn't have the voice box, and you know, a lot going on. But it was a great way to keep him fresh.
And he was a big man that could work.
Yes. Yes.
You know, that's the thing. And that's why he's still around. Even now in his limited capacity, you know, he's around.
Mm-hmm.
He can still work.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Big Show, losing all that weight and putting on more muscle. Now he even looks better in the ring now. He's not plodding along.
It's better for his knees and hips, yeah.
Well, Kane has always been slow anyway in the ring. But his style is such that he's more of a brawler than an actual technical wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's one of a dying few. There's very few true brawlers left. You know, and that's the thing. That's the
fighters, yeah.
You don't see very many anymore.
No, you don't, unfortunately.
All you see is the ones that do flippy do shit.
Yeah. The problem is you see big men who do flippy do shit.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's bad.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a big guy who wrestles like a big guy. There's nothing wrong with a little guy who wrestles like a little guy. You know, it's just like when sometimes you blend it. It doesn't work unless you're extra special.
It's not a very good aesthetic.
No, it doesn't work unless you're extra special. You know.
Yes, you know, not everybody can walk the top rope.
No, exactly, which is what made Undertaker so valuable.
I mean, Kane couldn't even do that. Everybody that's ever tried it, you know, failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker is a special type of athlete.
Very special breed.
But yeah, what was your? You know, I liked Kane from the beginning. I mean, you know, him not speaking and Paul Bearer being the one who spoke for him. You know, it always made him seem more ominous. And then when he started using that electric, you know, that larynx box,
mm-hmm.
that gave him a scary, sinister edge. And over time, he's evolved several times. You know, but there's always that base thing of the music is the same.
Yep.
It's always a fire. You know, there's always fire involved, and that's what makes his character so good, in my opinion. What does that for you, LL, with him?
I don't really know. I mean, you could tell, you watch the way he changes and goes. I think the best part I liked is when he really changed and decided to go after Vince's family when it became the Ministry of Darkness.
Oh, you're talking about, that's Undertaker. We're talking about Kane. Kane wasn't involved in that.
No, that's right. He wasn't. I don't know. For Kane, I really didn't care much. I mean, he come out, I think when the two got together and they actually started wrestling together.
The Brothers of Destruction?
Yeah.
What's all that about? I hear that noise in the background.
Me?
I heard some noise, like someone screeching or hollering. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I think it was. I mean, their matches were good when they were going at each other. There was so much psychological stuff there. But I think I liked them better when they were actually teamed together.
Yeah. But both of them were masters.
Yeah.
Kane was a master of psychological warfare as well.
Oh, yeah.
I would think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With the flames and everything else, yeah, he was very, very good at it.
Yeah. I mean, he could scare people just by that.
Oh yeah. And it was great.
No. But that's Kane. I mean, he is one of a dying breed, the true brawler, that are slowly but surely being phased out. Unfortunately,
Agreed.
I see a couple of guys on the roster right now that would benefit highly if they would remain or become brawlers, and one of them is Bray Wyatt. If Bray Wyatt was to become a brawler, I think that would help him greatly because his dad was a brawler. So,
And when you're that big and you're that strong, yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
I can totally see that.
But that's not what we're here for tonight.
No.
We are here for the man, the myth, the legend, the phenom, the Undertaker, who has been in WWF, WWE since Survivor Series 1990. And should he make an appearance at this upcoming Survivor Series, it'll be 28 years he's been with the company. Still active, even though it's a very limited active contract now due to his age. He's 53 now. Has had surgery on his hip. A couple years ago at WrestleMania, I think it was 33. He looked horrible.
Yep. He did not look good at all.
And at WrestleMania 34, he looked like he had turned everything around.
Well, it helped that at WrestleMania 34 he was wrestling a 3-minute squash as opposed to an actual match,
Right.
But still, I mean, he looked good, and it was cool to be there in the building and see him. So hopefully that if they limit his role, it will help him stay a little fresher, a little longer. Because the days of him wrestling
30-minute 5-star matches,
those days are long gone, unfortunately. It's cliche, but Father Time's undefeated.
I missed. He should have retired undefeated at WrestleMania. That's my personal opinion. Brock didn't need the rub.
I think actually Brock did need the rub because Brock had been so mismanaged his first comeback. His very first match back, he jobbed out to John Cena, because we got to keep John Cena strong, right?
Yeah.
And then he does the Triple H feud, which didn't help him at all. So I think that was the one card they could have played to get Brock super over and to get him to be an unconquerable monster was beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And then he destroys Cena at that SummerSlam, and he doesn't drop the belt again until the next WrestleMania, where it took how many spears and the curb stomp and all the other stuff to beat him,
Right.
So
and he wasn't even the one that was pinned.
No, he wasn't.
Roman Reigns was.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I said, I didn't think Brock needed to rub. But Vince's going to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And it had to have his approval. Do you remember seeing him debut, or were you not old enough to?
I was not old enough. I don't remember. I've seen the videos, but I did not see it live.
I did. I was lucky to see it. It's just like when I remember Roddy Piper saying, "Look at the size of that ham hock."
Yeah, I mean, big guys sell, always and forever, right?
Yep.
I mean, sell tickets. They draw,
He wasn't. He was and still is a draw.
Absolutely.
That's the thing about the Undertaker. He's still a draw, even in his diminished capacity in the ring. With Crown Jewel being where it is, they want him to perform there, so he is wrestling there. They backed up the Brinks truck to him.
Yeah, as well they should.
Yes. I myself didn't like Biker Taker.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with it.
Ministry of Darkness was one of the best. I think that was his best time.
Oh, it was great.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool as hell, but the higher power being Vince kind of ruined the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. That was much less great.
Yep.
That really sucked there.
Yeah.
You know, it was a swerve for the sake of a swerve, right?
Yeah, that's all it was.
The only thing that I liked that era, the only thing I did not like is it seemed to be getting like the NWO. More and more people were coming into the ministry.
Yeah, they were very faction heavy.
Yeah. It wasn't so bad at the beginning, but near the end, it was a little too much.
Let's see.
Like I started getting like the NWO.
Yeah. Well, the ministry was Undertaker and Paul, Minion,
Mm-hmm.
Viscera, Gangrel was there, Edge and Christian, and the APA.
There was a couple others in there. I can't think of who they are, but there was a couple others in there
I
too.
think that's it. I think that they kept it like 7 or 8 at the most. It wasn't like NWO that had 35 members.
Well, until they merged with the corporation.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is the point that she was.
Yeah. When they
Getting
did that.
It was getting, like I said, it was getting a little ridiculous. Because if you think about it, you had Shane McMahon. After a while, he was on Undertaker's side.
Yeah, which made 0 sense at the time.
Yeah, he was there, and some of the authority was there.
I
And
mean,
this was at the time that
the
Linda
dirty
was
secret. Oh, go
taking
on.
over.
I'm sorry.
That was at the time his wife was taking over, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So you figure they had to bring about where Vince and the authority go down to bring Steve Austin up. But it still wasn't that great.
I mean, the dirty secret of the Attitude Era is that the in-ring wasn't actually that good by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And it's not even a secret. But it worked because the characters were so much larger than life. You know, and Kane and Undertaker were a huge part of that.
Yeah, Undertaker and in the Ministry of Darkness was some of the best stuff I'd ever seen. And I mean the speaking in tongues stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Edge pushed it. I mean, he pushed the envelope to, you know, people were afraid that he was actually, you know, casting dark curses on people.
Mm-hmm.
And so
wasn't it great?
It was. It was. I'm sitting there going, these people are actually scared. I mean, everybody was actually scared. You know, I don't want to piss him off. He might do something to me.
Yeah.
You know, that was the kind of character he was. I think that was one of his greatest characters. The original no selling Undertaker was ominous and foreboding whenever he came to the ring. You know, they'd punch him and he'd just stand there and look at you. You know, telling you that he's a dead man. He don't feel anything. So, and seeing kids at ringside crying at SummerSlam or at Survivor Series that year. There were actually kids at ringside crying because they were so scared. And his entrance, if you look at him in 1990 to his entrance now, the music is similar, but the effects are so much more. You know, he still gets his fire once in a while. He still has his pyro for the most part. Has his smoke machines, you know, the fog, the black lighting, you know, the dark, the minute the gong or the bell tolls the first time, the lights go out. And and you, George, have experienced it in your life. Damn you. I'm so jealous.
It really is special. You know? and I won't. I'm not gonna rub it in too much.
No.
Too much. But it really is. It really is pretty cool to see that live.
I bet. I mean, I bet
Even-
you were, I bet you
Oh,
were one giant. I bet you were one giant chill.
Oh, it's awesome. And, you know, and it's. I say this all the time. You see people with who you can't take your eyes off of. That's Undertaker is part and parcel of that. He's textbook for that. You know.
He takes a page out of someone's book that is not very popular in history of the world, but was very, very good at getting people worked up into a frenzy. And that's one Adolf Hitler. He would sit there. The things that Taker does on his way to the ring, he's very methodical, very slow. You know, he's building the tension as he's walking to the ring. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He works the fans up into a frenzy just in his time coming down the ramp. And people are not seeing it as, you know, and I see it, and it's like, you know, and I'm not saying he is that. I'm saying I'm just using that as a baseline. That was one of the greatest demagogues around, and he actually was able to get people just by moving a piece of paper around and not saying anything. Undertaker, same way. He doesn't say anything. He talks more with his eyes when he's going through his entrance. He has a dead stare. He's looking straight ahead. You don't even see him blink as he walks down to the ring. You know, it's just, you know, the rolling of the eyes back. That when he turns the light, when he brings the lights up, you know, it's all those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn, that's something on my bucket list.
It really is very much a chill. You know, you said a chill in the air is an awesome way to describe it, my friend.
That's what. Who was it? That's what Taz would say. That's what Lawler said. That's what Jim Ross said. There's a sudden chill in the air.
Yep. And they're all right.
He just had that way.
Absolutely.
It still has. I shouldn't say had. He has that way.
Yep. In 2018, he got 80,000 people to sit and stare. You know?
Imagine him in the olden days doing that same thing he's doing now.
It was great.
It would be so over.
Absolutely, it would be.
You know, we talk about bringing wrestlers from the past, you know, the 60s, 70s, and bringing them to the here and now and how they would. Let's do it. You know, we do it the opposite way with Undertaker. Would he be over in the 70s? Of course he would.
Oh, in a heartbeat. He's a relic of that era. And I don't mean that as like a negative. He is that era. That wrestling is. I mean, wrestling is that era for him. He is a throwback,
right?
You know?
Because of this character. His character is larger than life.
Absolutely, a perfect way to put it.
You know, Mark Calloway that's his real name, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Calloway is, and Jim Cornette said it best. He's the only person that could be the something, you know, the Undertaker or the, you know, or the Butcher, or, you know, he could make it. He made it work. He made that gimmick work. You know, and then, you know, having Brother Love as his first manager, you know,
not great, but That's a good way of putting it.
But when Paul Bearer came around, beautiful. It was a perfect marriage. Those two, absolute perfect marriage. You know, we did a thing about Paul Bearer, a show on Paul Bearer a couple months back, and we talked about, you know, Paul Bearer and Undertaker are synonymous with one another.
They really are.
Paul Bearer had Kane, yes. Paul Bearer managed Mankind, yes. But Paul Bearer is always going to be associated with The Undertaker. That was his main guy. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Mark Calloway is someone that could pull it off.
With ease.
And does it.
Yeah, it's really a thing of beauty, you know?
Yes, it is. It's amazing what he can pull off. You know, I've never seen a character of that type that got so over in such a short time. You know, one of the greatest. He was involved in one of the greatest face turns ever when he stopped Jake the Snake Roberts from braining
Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Side of you on, not yours.
Not yours.
Yep.
His you know, his promo.
Perfect way of putting it too.
Yeah. Whose side are you on? And that's when Jake the Snake closed his hand in the coffin, in the casket, and here's Undertaker dragging the casket, going after him with it closed on his hand. I mean, how in the Sam hell do you pull that kind of shit off?
By being pretty good at professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You know?
Had to be. Had to be. You know, I don't know. I mean, my handle on Twitter, my handle on the internet community that I belong to, is Taker's Minion for a reason. I've been a fan of his since his arrival in 1990 in the WWF. I remember him as Texas Red under a mask. I remember him as Mean Mark Callis in WCW, where the Heart Punch was his finisher. Throwback to Ox Baker.
The tombstone's better.
The Tombstone is much better.
But the Heart Punch is a cool throwback.
Yes, it is. That's a shout out to Ox.
You know which one I like? I like his Hell's Gate.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, it is. I remember the first time he put it on, was it Mabel or Viscera?
I think it was Viscera.
And that was the first person he did it to.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody sold it well with the blood caps.
Yep. And it was established as a move that for killers, you know?
Yep.
And what was great about it, he didn't use it all the time.
Oh, exactly.
His moves changed. He never used the same finisher all the time.
This is true.
That's another thing that made him good. Most of the wrestlers, their finisher, that's what they used. They had one good finisher and they constantly used it.
Yeah.
Undertaker had a couple.
Shit, he had more than a couple.
Well, you know what I mean? He had few that he would change them off.
Yeah, he has the Tombstone. He has the Last Ride, which is he power bombs him, but he lifts him up before he throws him down.
Mm-hmm.
He had Hell's Gate. He has a choke slam. You know, there's 4 different finishers right there.
He's got his big boot.
Yeah, the big boot. He's got.
You know what I missed that he used to do?
What's that?
When he did the jumping clothesline.
Oh, the flying clothesline.
Yep, where he'd bounce off the ropes and then bounce off the ropes and then leap in the air and hit the guy with the flying lariat or the flying clothesline.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a great. I loved that move a lot. I thought it was a great move.
Seeing that big of a man who he's 6'10".
Yeah.
Jumping, flying over the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
Outside the ring, basically doing a suicide dive over the top rope.
It's crazy.
And made it look believable.
Absolutely.
Made himself look like he was actually flying. And he would clear the top rope by a good foot to 18 inches. A man that big should not be able to do that kind of stuff.
No, not at all.
A man that big should not be able to walk the top rope to the middle of the ropes and not fall. There for the longest time, I thought his real name was Jeff Gaylord. Because there was a wrestler at WCCW named Jeff Gaylord that did the same thing, as walk the top rope. And I thought they were the same person for a while. And I found out later, no, they're not. So, man, I shouldn't be able to walk the top rope like that.
No, not at all.
I mean,
it's amazing. We talked about. What's your favorite match of his? I'm going to ask you to that.
Oh, go ahead, hon.
Shawn Michaels.
Hell in a Cell?
The last one.
Oh, the retirement match.
The retirement match.
Yeah. One of my favorites, believe it or not, was WrestleMania 28. Him and Triple H at the end of an era match.
You know why I love that match?
That match was epic.
There's one spot in that, and every match has one spot that you buy. For me, it was the super kick into the pedigree. I was like, holy shit, that's the finish,
And Taker kicked out.
And he kicks out at 2.9. And I'm like, damn, I bought that,
Yep. That there were, the false finishes in that match were believable. Every damn one of them.
Absolutely.
You thought, oh, this is it. And 1, 2, no. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yep. You bought it. You bought it. 100% right.
And that's what you say. You're just like, nah. Edge of your seat the whole time during that match.
Mm-hmm.
But to see the three of them walk out together, arm in arm at the end, was great.
Yeah, it was.
There was so much respect between those three, and there still is. Anybody that says there isn't because Shawn's coming back for his match coming up, I'm like, no. You know as well as I do that
that's all for show.
It was all for show, and that's all for show. Undertaker is like, if he's done it. He basically retired after he wrestled Roman Reigns and was back the following year. Which I love the way they did his entrance there.
Mm-hmm.
The bell rings, you see the light, a spotlight comes on. There's the hat, the coat, and the gloves in the ring. Rings again, the lights go out. And all of a sudden, and there he is walking down the ramp, dressed in the same stuff. And it's just like, how the hell are they doing this? How are they doing this? I believe everything that goes on with him is real. And I know it ain't, but it's like, how the hell they do this stuff, I don't know.
That's exactly it. And I say this all the time, in a company that is so fake, there's nothing fake about The Undertaker.
No.
Not a damn thing fake about him,
You could sit there and you know it's not real. You know it's not truly happening in front of you.
But you buy it.
But you buy it because he is such a beloved character.
Yeah, and he's so good at it.
He is. He is a master.
My favorite is probably the match against Bret Hart at SummerSlam 1997. Just because of all the historical implications of that match.
Oh, yeah.
The match itself is very good, but Bret Hart wins the match. And the match is the match is good because Bret Hart is the heel, but Undertaker is still selling as the face,
Yeah.
This was right when he started to be a little more vulnerable. So Taker is working Bret's back, and Bret is working Taker's leg to set him up for the sharpshooter.
Right.
And it's very good. And Shawn Michaels is the special guest referee. And if he shows bias against Bret Hart, he can never get a title shot again. So he grabs the chair. Shawn's holding a chair, and Bret spits on him. And Shawn swings the chair, and he hits Taker in the head and knocks him out. And Bret covers him. And because Shawn Michaels can't show bias, he has to cover. He has to count the pinfall, right?
Right.
Here's the two things that happen because of that match. Three things. One, Shawn Michaels says, I need some muscle. I have an angry Undertaker coming to kill me. So he started teaming up with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and that turned into a tag team. You know, we know as DX. Two, Bret Hart was the WWF champion. It took a little something called the Montreal Screwjob to get the title off him.
And because he was leaving to
to go to WCW.
And they didn't want Bret doing the same thing that Alundra Blaze did.
Yeah, although there was no chance of that. A man as professional as Bret Hart. But we should do a show on that when Biff comes back.
We probably will.
We should do a show on that sooner or later.
On the Monday Night Wars and how it started.
On Montreal. Just on Montreal.
Oh,
God. And everything leading up to it and all the everything, you know, because it's been 21 years.
Yeah.
We have listeners who weren't alive for that, you know. Yeah. And we are wrestling historians, so that's something we should probably look to do.
Oh, yeah.
And three, it led right to the debut of Kane, to the Hell in a Cell match.
Yes, it did.
So if you haven't seen it, watch that SummerSlam 97 match. It's Taker at his best because he's still the zombie, but he is vulnerable and he sells and he moves around and he's athletic. And it's probably my favorite Undertaker match of all time.
Yep.
I think it's a great, great match, and I would recommend it to anybody.
You know, nobody in the WWE before or since, I think, with the exception maybe of Roman Reigns, hurt like Undertaker did.
Oh my God, he was always hurt, and you never knew it. He would take time off every now and again,
and he'd be gone for 2-3 months.
Yeah, but
it was always an angle that would, you know, take him off of TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the 18 guys that put him in the casket when the casket match with Yokozuna.
Yep, exactly. Good way of putting it, my friend.
You know, he had the entire group. You know, so it's the man is the man. He is the man, was the man, and always will be the man in my eyes. You know, broken ribs. He was strapping on taping on a flak jacket to go out and perform.
And
broken orbitals. You know, he's broken both of his orbital bones in his head, and wore a mask to finish out the dates he had before.
I remember the Phantom of the Opera mask. Yeah, I remember that.
The Phantom of the Opera mask.
Phantom of the Opera mask
was actually to protect his eye. Because he had broken he had shattered his orbital bone. It was going to require surgery and a good 3 to 6 months out. But you never knew. I just thought, he added something new to his costume. I didn't know what it was until later. I didn't find out until way later that the Phantom of the Opera mask was actually protecting his eye socket. It's like, wow. You know,
I didn't know that either. I think I had heard that, but I'd forgotten all about it.
Yeah, well, Undertaker does a shoot interview with a pastor, and he talks about that he's had both of his orbital bones broken in his head, in his face.
That's crazy.
Broken ribs, broken ankles, broken wrists, fingers.
He's had so many broken bones. You can't really name them all.
Yeah. You know, and that's just because he was someone that, you know, worked hurt, because back in the day, you know, for the most part, you would lose your spot.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, he never lost his spot.
Well, I mean, when you're that valuable and you're that respected, you know, how do you lose your spot?
Right. Well, you know, you look at WWE, and we've talked about this on the show before, Biff and I especially. We talked about, you know, the 4 pillars of WWE, and one of them's Undertaker. He's one of the cornerstones. But I always have said Bruno Sammartino is the foundation. The foundation is the most important part. The next most important are the cornerstones. And there's 4.
Who are the other ones? The record, I'm curious.
Let's see. I go Taker, Hulk Hogan, even though he's not, that great of a person. Uh, Superstar Billy Graham was one, and can't remember who the other one was now off the top of my head. But that's 3 out of the 4 that I named.
Okay.
Who would you have as your 4 corners?
Of the company?
Mm-hmm. Overall, from WWF till now, or from WWF to WWE and current, over all the years.
Bruno, Hogan, Austin. Fourth one's tough. I think I'm there with you on Undertaker, to be honest.
Yeah. And you named the 4th one. You named the 4th one of Steve Austin.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on Undertaker because he is the last link from the cartoon era and the kid era through the Attitude Era, through the Ruthless Aggression era, to the modern era, to the PG era, for lack of a better term, the network era,
Yeah.
He ties it all together. He's that one bit of connecting tissue that links it all up. So, yeah.
Yep. And that's him. That's him. He's always been a company man. Now, mind you, he started his career down in Texas, down in Dallas at Sportatorium. Learned from Fritz and Company. And he was on WCW. He was a WCW talent and was let go for some odd reason.
Well, it's WCW.
And
need we say more, right?
Yep. And he had more than one time. He had more than one phone call from Bischoff trying to get him to come down.
I mean,
Bischoff
had his chance, but he blew it,
Yep. Bischoff let him go the first time, and Taker, could have left and gone down to WCW, and I think that would have basically destroyed WWE at the time, WWF at the time. I think it would have destroyed it. But he, yes, Chris, you're right. He's been a company man for better and for worse.
Exactly. For better and for worse.
Yep. Through it all, he's been there. Through the entire Monday Night Wars, he was there. He was the locker room leader at that time. Great man. Much respect I have for him. If I was to ever see him on the street, I wouldn't know how to act. Because you're so different than his character from because he's a very, very private man when he's away from the ring. He has Instagram, but he's not the one posting it. So
you never hear like only very recently have you gotten like Undertaker shoot promos and stuff,
Yeah. And that's all because of Michelle McCool pushing the issue.
Very rarely do you hear that stuff.
Right. No. He has a Twitter, but the last time he posted on it was 5 years ago. So, and yeah, Instagram now he has, and it's not so much him, it's Michelle McCool who runs it for him, I think. Because you always see him, these videos of him working out in the gym, and he's still pushing iron. Even at his age, he is still pushing a lot of iron. I don't care who you are. So,
it really is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I would be. I know when he does finally retire, retire, to where he doesn't come back in a ring for one more match or doesn't do the WrestleMania anymore like he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a sad. I know I'm gonna have tears in my eyes when it does happen. I had tears in my eyes when he did that stuff at WrestleMania 33, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I cried. I thought he had retired. I thought he was done.
I think he thought he had retired too.
I would agree.
And I think he needs to.
I think
Yeah.
I've said it too. As much as I love him and want him to, wrestle forever, I know he can't, and it's time.
Time's come.
Time to let it go.
It's past time. I would say it's past time.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It is, and
The
I ain't gonna,
retirement match should have been with Brock Lesnar.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
actually
mean,
should have been.
He should have walked away after that.
Because the match with Roman, granted Roman beat him, but
But it was a shit match.
yeah, because Undertaker was not himself.
no, he wasn't.
He was slow. He couldn't do half the stuff he needed to do. It just wasn't. This last time we seen him, he was better than he was in that match.
Well, again, it helped that it was such a short,
Short one, yeah. But even the start of his last match here was still better than the start of that one.
True.
From the start to ending of that match was bad. It was not a good match.
There were so many missed spots and botches in that match.
Yep.
And seeing Roman trying to set him up for the tombstone and can't get him up. And Taker's trying to help him to get, he's trying to help him get himself up, and
It just wasn't working.
Just wasn't working. No, not at all.
But it's, Roman really did try, and Undertaker did. But Undertaker was not himself.
No.
Oh, he was not.
He was, like I said, he was slow, and it's like he was hurting. He should not have been there.
Well, he had surgery shortly after that match.
Yeah.
He needed that surgery before the match. He was supposed to have it. I was supposed to have already had it.
And he kept putting it off.
Yep.
That's why I said he never should have done that match. Even Roman didn't know what to think. You could see it on his face. It was hard for him.
Yeah. And the WWE blew a perfect chance to make Roman a heel because, the heat he had that Monday after WrestleMania and that simple promo he cut, this is my yard now. They had a golden opportunity and they blew it.
Never been in the cards though.
Huh?
It wasn't in the cards. So yeah, you're not wrong.
Because he defeated one of the most beloved characters and made him, the match was bad and it kind of made him look bad. But Roman has later said, Joe actually has said that was not one of his best matches ever. And Undertaker said it's a match he knows he shouldn't have had.
Yeah.
He said he should have had the surgery and done it at 34 versus doing it
when he did
at 33.
Agreed. I think we'll all agree to that.
He's Undertaker. I don't know.
That should have been a WrestleMania he missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get well.
He needed to. He needed to. I didn't really know just how bad things were for him until after that match. And I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. They're talking hip replacement.
Yeah, it was not. And you could tell he was very ginger. He was moving very gingerly.
Yeah.
And
he himself going into that match didn't know if there was going to be any more. And
you can see why.
Yeah. And he came back for 34 and is now, let's see, he did 34, he did Crown Jewel, or no, he did 34, he did Greatest Royal Rumble. He's done Super Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing Crown Jewel. So that's 4 this year, 5 this year.
Well, they're opening the checkbook, They got the money, so
yeah.
Why the hell not, right?
Hey, you know what? For all the years he was with the company that he wasn't making the money that he's making now, get yours, brother.
Hey, you know my rule. I'll never tell someone they can't make money. You know? Never, never.
And I'm saying, get yours, Mark. Get yours.
You know it, man. You've earned it.
Yes,
But with him using being a legend,
Sooner or later, you're going to have kids, and they're going to need braces. So earn that money.
You figure how many years was it that he was only coming out once a year? That was like 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Only once a year.
WrestleMania.
That's right. And now they got him coming out at all these shows.
Well,
that's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign.
No. Because this match that's coming up should not even be.
No, the Brothers of Destruction versus DX.
No, that shouldn't even be.
That's an Attitude Era match that's going to suck.
Yeah, and no, it wasn't particularly good at. I mean, the Undertaker Triple H match wasn't very good at Super Showdown, so I can't see why this would be that much better. Although it will be very heavy smoke and mirrors, and
yeah,
so I can see that for sure.
The effects would be fine, but
yeah, the smoke and mirrors and all that fun stuff.
Well, putting someone in a tag match can hide things.
Exactly.
They tried with Alexa Bliss. They were hiding the fact that, she got hurt.
Yeah.
And so they've had her in a tag match with Lita and Nikki James. And then she got concussed, which basically took her out. So it was Alicia Fox got thrown in at the last minute. So yeah, that's the thing. They're hiding the fact that
people are hurt or
people
they
are
can't
old.
do it.
Yeah. All of them are old. All of them.
Yeah, you're right.
Kane should not even be going.
No.
The mayor of Nashville should not be going.
The whole thing is just a fiasco. We've talked about this in the past, but
yes, we have.
Especially for an elected official, the optics are. But hey,
the optics are not good.
He's the one who's going to have to face his voters, not me. I wouldn't have done it, but.
And in Shawn Michaels, it wasn't just the retirement match. It was he had so many problems with his neck and his back.
Absolutely.
He stayed out this long. Don't come back.
Yeah.
Don't risk it. That's like Daniel Bryan. He's risking his health and everything else to do this. No.
Agreed. It's not smart,
No.
But I mean, he's a grown man. He knows what's up. So
yeah. Well, we all said the same thing about Nate.
Yeah.
When he retired, he was retired by Shawn at WrestleMania 26, and he left WWE. And where did he wind up? TNA.
Yeah,
and they made him. He was not the same.
No, no, he was not. It did not end well at all, my friends.
No, it didn't. They made a fool out of him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some of these that retire, yes, I understand that they miss the sport, they miss the ring and all that. But you know what? Don't risk your health. Don't risk your life for it.
No, they missed the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And the fans, the feeling that the loves the fans give them.
Yeah.
That's you think about it. All of them that are retired, they've all said just how difficult it is.
It is. But the thing is like I said, Shawn retired for the same reason Daniel did. And they both come back, and that is the wrong thing to do. Daniel's for his neck and his concussions. Shawn is his back and his neck. Look at how long he wrestled with an injured back.
Well,
he did that for years.
And then he retired at one time because of his back. I think he had surgery, if I'm not mistaken. Did he not, George?
Michaels, yeah, he was out for 4 years.
Yeah, he was out
He
for
had
4 years, had
surgery or whatever. Yeah, he ripped his back up against the Undertaker. Believe it or not.
Yeah, he hit the edge of the coffin.
Yeah, at the '98 Rumble, he took a back body drop onto the coffin. It was a casket match against the Undertaker, and he took a back body drop and he landed on the hinge of the coffin, right on his lower back.
Yeah,
Got through the match fine. He's like, "Yeah, I was fine, whatever." And then he woke up the next morning. He's like, "I can't walk." You know, he was in so much pain he couldn't move. Didn't wrestle again until he wrestled Steve Austin at WrestleMania '98. And if you want to see a guy working through pain, you watch that match.
yes.
Because to say he was gritting it out, you know, is an absolute understatement. The poor guy could not move.
Well, look at what match was it? It was an outside match. It was Hunter and Shawn Michaels, where Shawn Michaels, it looked like the audience was booing him, throwing stuff, everything. Shawn Michaels walked out.
Oh yeah, that was that live event where he got hit in the head with a battery.
And he had a bad back.
He should walk out in that case.
He had a bad back then. He injured his back. He wrestled with an injured back for quite a few years. So that one with Undertaker isn't what did it. That was the end of it. He already had an injured back.
He had an injured neck at the time, and then the back was done by the edge of the casket, hon, because he even said that's where he injured his back.
You can see it if you watch it on the highlight.
He herniated 3 of his lower back discs.
I'm sure he was hurting beforehand. You know, I'm sure, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back, no pun intended.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, he's already injured his back, hurt it, but like you said, that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
He wrestled for about 4 years because he was, if you remember right, he was living on painkillers for years.
Yeah.
Because of his neck and his back. Hunter even come out in an interview and said that. That was one of Shawn's problems. He was addicted to the painkillers because of his back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before The Undertaker.
Wow.
So that was just the end of it. That really did it, was that match.
You know,
that put him out.
But then you think about it. Let's see. WrestleMania 24, I think.
That was the
retired.
Was against Ric Flair.
And then 25 and 26 were Undertaker and Shawn. The first one, it was Shawn lost and couldn't accept the fact. He tried for quite a while to get a rematch with Undertaker, and finally Undertaker said about one condition: if you lose, your career is over.
Yeah.
And accepted. And he lost. Again. You know, and he hit Sweet Chin Music, and you know, there again we thought it's over. I thought it was over.
And what did Undertaker do? Sat right up.
Yep. No, that is something that's another thing. So many times you see Undertaker get beaten pillar to post, and he's laying there in the ring, in the middle of the ring, and the heel or the face or whatever is, you know, playing to the crowd, and all of a sudden he sits straight up, boom,
and then he turns his head and just looks at
whatever direction they're in, whatever direction they are, and looks dead at him.
And they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
that's done screwed up, kid.
That's the beginning of the end for you.
You screwed up, son.
The biggest matches that I remember with Undertaker that had a lot was the ones with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Because Triple H did that when he lost that one match. He couldn't stand it.
No.
He wanted a rematch.
No. I know which one you're talking about. WrestleMania 27 was the first Triple H match where Undertaker won the match, but was taken out on a stretcher.
Yeah.
Undertaker could not accept it. Even though he won the match, he couldn't walk out on his own. And he was trying to get Undertaker or get Triple H again at WrestleMania 28, which he did.
And Shawn Michaels was the referee.
Right. That was the Hell in a Cell match.
Yep. The whole point was that Shawn wouldn't, Triple H wouldn't jeopardize the business aspect of the Undertaker because the Undertaker was so good for business. You know, it was before the whole authority, but he was like, if I beat you again, or if I cripple you, you're not worth anything to me.
Right.
Was the whole background to that.
Yeah. And he's Triple H is telling Shawn, you end it or I will.
Yeah.
But at the end, you see the sledgehammer is in the ring, and then at the end, when we know the end is coming and the final tombstone is going to be hit, Undertaker stands on the sledge.
Yep, and Triple H just didn't have anything left.
Yeah. And Triple H is selling his ass off that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew. And it's, we all talk about, we've all said it. Triple H, when he's in a match, buries people. No. He has to have a lot of respect for you to sell for you.
Yes.
And Undertaker, I'm sure he sold for him down there at Super Showdown. Getting knocked around. You saw the match, I didn't.
Yeah, it was, he did. The match was not very good, to be honest. It was very long, plotting, a lot of, I would not recommend it, to be honest. But,
it's not one of your top 10.
No. Not one of my top 10.
Was it as bad as the one with him and Roman?
I don't know, but it's not that much better. Like if him and Roman is like an F or like a D, then this is like a C minus.
C minus D plus.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little better, but it's not good. For lack of a better phrase.
It's not what those two can do.
Exactly.
No. It's not what they did at WrestleManias 27 and 28.
No, it's not. And they're both significantly older, significantly slower.
Yes. Neither one of them should be in the ring.
No, neither one of them should be in the ring. You're exactly right.
Okay, let's get back. You know which match I really liked?
Which one?
It was a cage match with Mick Foley.
Okay.
With who?
Mick Foley.
Oh, the Hell in a Cell match?
Oh, yeah. Where he went through the cell.
Yeah, I'm talking about first he was thrown off it.
And then he went through it.
Yeah.
That match. Now you want to talk about somebody that works injured. Mick Foley.
Where's the tax?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about somebody that does work injured. He always did.
And those two, Mick Foley, Mankind, and Undertaker, had some of the best. They had the best feud and some of the best matches ever. Because Foley would sell like crazy and do insane stuff.
They were good and they were hilarious.
Yes, they were great together in the ring. I completely forgot about that match. That's in my top 5.
It is historic in that you'll never forget where you were when you saw it. If that makes sense.
Oh my God, they killed him. As God is my witness, he's broken in half. Because nobody knew it was coming. Nobody. The only one that they had talked about starting the match up there. They didn't talk about Foley basically getting thrown off and through the Spanish announce table.
That I don't think they really actually meant to do that.
Probably not. Hopefully not.
and then JR selling it because at that time Foley was the face and Taker was the heel, and JR selling it. Look at the Undertaker. You know, he better not. You know, look at him. He could care less. It's just like, way to go, Jim. You know, JR was. You know, that's what makes the matches great. JR could make two pencils having a match look sound great.
Yeah.
And you got Foley climbing back up, back on top where they fall through it.
He's climbing back up.
He gets off the. It's this. You know what's a word that comes to mind when I'm thinking of the Undertaker and Kane?
What's that?
Spectacle.
Yes.
Everything is a spectacle with them two.
Yes. You can't. You're right, Chris. You'll never hear another call like that again.
Nope, you never will.
Nope.
Never, never. For good or for ill.
That's it. I mean, Jesus. The things that Taker did. You know, yes, they were talking to now the spot on top of that where Foley went through was supposed to have been a spot where, yes, he was supposed to go through it, but not that hard, not like that.
Well, wasn't the tooth up his nose?
Yeah. It launched off his face and up his nose, which,
And
holy God.
And he's laying there smiling.
Yeah.
You know.
He didn't even know it.
Nope. And Undertaker, though, I'll tell you this much. He knew Foley was hurt and he protected him until Foley was more coherent. He protected him. And that's something.
And also,
that is something Undertaker has always done with everybody he's ever been in a match with.
let's give some praise to Terry Funk.
Yes.
For jumping in that match last minute.
And buying some fire before.
Yeah.
And taking the tombstone.
Yeah. And him and Taker calling a little mini match on the fly.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. You gotta, you know.
Because they're both trying to protect Mick.
They're trying to protect him. Yep.
Because you think about it, look at the matches Terry and Mick had. Those guys were great together. They were nuts, but they did great work.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite Kane match? Or Kane moment, or Kane moment, or Kane memory?
Kane moment was my favorite Kane moment was the debut at In Your House, Bad Blood, when he ripped the door off. The Hell in a Cell match.
That's a good one. A real good one.
I mean, there was so much of a build for that debut. And everybody thought, because everybody thought it was not going to be there. It was going to be on a Raw. And it happened at that pay-per-view. And it was one of the minor pay-per-views.
Yeah, it was.
You know, In Your House was a secondary, a B or a C pay-per-view. And Kane appeared, and it made that pay-per-view, you know, you ask a lot of people if they, you know, those who have the network, I'll guarantee you, they've all seen that match. They've all watched that match because it's one of those that's gone down in the history and the lore of WWF and WWE as one of the greatest debuts of all time. You know, WWE has it on its top 10 list, I think at number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Greatest debuts.
I can't think of two that are more memorable. So,
no. My mystery partner.
Chris Jericho, maybe?
That was a good one.
Yeah. You know, I was in the building for that one, so I'm a little biased, but Chris Jericho, but
and they had him going up against The Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
tough.
Tough, and he held his own with The Rock. And then the next week he was in a promo battle with Undertaker. and did quite well. Where that was the famous going by the peach fuzz on your chin. I've got more shower time than you have in ring time,
Yeah.
and it's just like wow, you know. But it was good, you know. There's so many. There's so many. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? So many
Memorable moments.
Yes. And most of the, defining moments of the company. And most all of them involve the Undertaker. For the last 28 years, they involve the Undertaker in some form or fashion. He's involved, and they're signature moments for the company. Every damn one of them. Even when he looked so bad in that match, it was a signature moment. It was trying to. It set the table for a heel turn that didn't happen. We said it wasn't in the cards. It was. But
Well, there's another moment I remember. The match wasn't so great, but the build up to the match with him and Bray Wyatt, the psychological stuff they were trying to play on each other, that was good.
yes, I remember that because that was at Fastlane, the very first Fastlane.
Yeah.
And
I
you
mean,
were
the match wasn't that great. At least I didn't think it was. But the build up to it, the psychological stuff they were doing to each other.
yeah. Well, like I said, the build-up started at Fastlane. Because remember, I think you were at work and I was watching it and I said something to you. I texted you when the Druids came out with the casket. And it turned out to be Bray Wyatt in there. And I was like, oh, here we go. The target's been named. But I don't know if you saw that one, George, did you?
The WrestleMania?
No, just where the build-up started. It was at that Fastlane pay-per-view.
Yes.
They brought Bray out in the casket.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Undertaker. The crowd thought it was Undertaker showing up because there was rumors that he was showing up, and he didn't.
And it was Bray Wyatt, and then you knew it was on. And the match wasn't bad. Wasn't great. A lot of smoke and mirrors, but that's okay. You know?
Yeah, like
And
I said, it was
Bray ate the tombstone, and that was it.
Yep.
like I said, it was more of not the match itself, it was the build up to it. How they fucked with each other's mind.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, that was another thing Taker was good at.
Him and Bray Wyatt. Those are the only two that I say that were good at it. Bray's not that much anymore, but that back then he was.
Seeing, some of the greatest psychological games that Undertaker ever played. Seeing Orton,
Yes.
Cowboy Bob Orton, his face covered in blood when Randy turns and sees him. Or, Undertaker showing up in the mirror and he's not behind him, but he shows up that he's behind him. Things like that he did.
Played with the mind.
Playing with the mind. And he was good at it. It like you said, like I said, everything when it came to him was believable. Even though we knew it wasn't, we believed it was real.
That's why I said, Undertaker did it a lot. But when you get somebody that does the same thing, and you get two of them doing it against each other, that was what made it great.
Yeah. Building up to that WrestleMania match was fantastic. The match itself,
Yeah,
mediocre.
Bray was hurt. Didn't he hurt his ankle or something beforehand?
Yeah, he had done something to his ankle.
Yeah, that sucked. That was unfortunate.
Yeah. But like I said, the build up when you get something like that, the mind games, that is so great. Not just one playing, like you said, with Randy Orton. That was the Undertaker just playing games with him. But when he was doing it against Bray, Bray was doing it against him. And you're like, who's going to win this battle of the mind games?
Mm-hmm.
and Sister Abigail's rocking chair bursting into flames in the ring. You know, that was the Undertaker doing it from a long way away. We'd all seen him control lightning on TV anyway. I know it in person you don't see it, but on television you see the lightning, coming from his hands and stuff like that. It's just like it's real.
It's something else.
It's real to me, damn it.
Yeah, it's something. It's it reminds me of being a kid. So he'll always have a place in my heart.
Yep.
Kane too.
Yep,
They'll
both
both
of
always
them
have places in my heart.
It's real to us when it comes to those two.
Yeah.
Because they made it so believable. That's the beauty of their characters. That's why their characters are timeless. Both characters, Kane and Undertaker, are timeless.
Because you got other characters and you look at them. Like I was just using Bray Wyatt. We talked about that. When they first came out, they were good. But
Yeah, they were.
what happened to them? That didn't last.
No, unfortunately, it did not.
Nope.
I mean, some of the characters that you see, they just don't last. They got to be remade again.
Yeah, and that's another thing Undertaker did, is that he changed his character. Whatever made him go to the biker taker, I don't know. Or not one of my more favorite.
That is the only place that he really changed. Because as Undertaker, when he comes in, it's a little different. The clothing and the style's a little different. The main one is when he went from Undertaker to the Ministry of Darkness.
Yeah.
Right there, that was a big change. But it was still along the lines with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
The only change that really, really was significant was when he went from Undertaker to Biker Taker.
And George, how did you feel about that character?
I thought it worked for the time, but looking back, I was happy it was over. I liked him as heel Biker Taker a lot.
Oh yeah,
Big dead man walking. That match against we should talk about that match against Jeff Hardy, the ladder match, where it doesn't happen often, but you put a guy over in defeat. Something that WWE tries to do all the damn time, and sometimes it works, and most of the time it doesn't.
the only one Taker is one that could pull it off.
Taker pulled it off, absolutely.
He pulled it off consistently.
Yeah, he did.
All through his career, he's made people look good in defeat.
Absolutely.
In defeat. It's geez, yeah. Jeff Hardy, he put over, and that was on WGN.
Yeah, SmackDown. Yeah,
that match was on SmackDown on WGN. The WGN America is the one that's no longer in existence. But yeah, I remember watching that. Or no, was that on the CW network? I can't remember.
I don't remember. But yeah, same sentiment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how many? Let's try to think. Let's try and think. How many wrestlers did Undertaker make look good, even in defeat? He made Kane look like the unstoppable monster in the match that they had. It took 3 tombstones to beat him.
The first one at WrestleMania in 1999.
Right. He made Kane look like $1 million. Let's see.
Him and Hunter.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
Yeah. No, Bret Hart won.
Oh, yeah.
Bret Hart and Undertaker never faced each other at WrestleMania.
No, but it's SummerSlam.
Yeah, and Bret Hart went over.
Yeah, he beat him, yeah.
He did not have a great record in SummerSlam.
No, make up for the WrestleManias, I guess.
And he never wrestled with John Cena.
Yeah, he did.
The WrestleMania we just had, but never when they were both in their primes.
That's what I meant. I'm not talking about this one.
He wrestled him in Colorado, in Denver, at some minor pay-per-view. This is back when John Cena had the big chain and padlock that he used to wear.
Thugonomic.
Yeah, Mr. Thugonomics guy. I'm trying to think what pay-per-view that was.
Because I remember John keeps saying he wanted a match against The Undertaker. The one person he says he hasn't wrestled.
At WrestleMania. He didn't wrestle. He has not wrestled Undertaker at WrestleMania. That was the caveat. Well, he got his match.
Yeah, and it went 1, 2, 3.
The entry to the ring entrances were longer than the match was. But
That's okay though.
yeah, that's okay.
Randy Orton.
The Undertaker has earned that right. Damn it. You know, I think anyway.
Talk about in defeat Randy Orton.
Yeah.
The Legend Killer phase. Yep.
Yep.
There was quite a few. He had a couple of matches there. And we just talked about the best one. Him and Mick Foley.
Yeah, he made Mick Foley look like $1 million, even though he basically killed him.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's oh man.
There's a lot he did.
You know, of all the different types, because let's see, when Undertaker first debuted, I think he was wearing the gray gloves and spats, correct?
The gardening gloves.
Yes. The gray, or the gray gloves. Then he switched over to purple.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's going to make a comeback at some point in his career?
No, I think he's sticking with the MMA gloves for now. I think the MMA gloves are here to stay.
Yeah. It's such a part of him now.
Yeah, it is.
You know, are we ever going to, do you think we'll ever see the original Dead Man again? The one that debuted back in 1990?
No.
No, but I think this version will get, you know what? I kind of like this version, to be honest, because his gimmick isn't, I am a dead man, I'm the zombie, you know? His gimmick is that I am the last gunslinger. There's a series that Stephen King wrote back when he had his fastball called The Dark Tower. It became a movie a few years ago. It wasn't very good, but the series involves a man who's literally, his character is the last gunslinger. His race is there to protect the world, you know, and he's the last of his kind, and he's finding it's a little bit harder to keep protecting the world, you know, and keep evil at bay. And that's what Undertaker's turned into in his old age, is the guy who's, you know, he's that fighter, just like Cary Grant at High Noon, you know, that last man standing, right? Between the forces of darkness and everyone else. Yeah. And I like that gimmick of the Lion in Winter. It's one of my favorite gimmicks. So I think it's too bad that he's just physically incapable of doing it, because I think there could be something there, you know? Yeah. But it's just it's past him at that point.
And he can work
it's just past him.
He can work out as much as he wants, but he's never going to be where he was.
No, it's over. I mean, it's just, you know, we all get old, right?
Yeah. What was I bitching about? I mean, what was I bitching about before the show? I'm sore.
Sore.
And lifting 125-pound air conditioners, you know, we're the two oldest guys there, and we're carrying them up a flight of stairs to put them in. You know, we're too old for that shit. You know, and I'm not afraid to say Undertaker's too old for what he's doing now.
Agreed.
You know, as much as I mean, and I love him. I absolutely love him. You know, I cried after WrestleMania 33 because I thought that was it. I wrote an obit for that website for his career because of how I felt, or not an obit, but a eulogy. You know, and I laid out everything on how I felt about him. And, you know, I'm not changing my name when he does retire. It's going to stay the same.
Why would you change it? You'll still be a minion.
Always.
You'll still be loyal. Absolutely.
Of course. Why would I mean, yeah, I've had other favorites, but I don't have the fanaticism for anybody that I have for the Undertaker. Okay?
That's really the connection, you know?
He's the one that first caught my eye back when I had access, with the illustrious black box. We all know what those are.
I remember those days.
Yeah. With the black box, you can go see all the pay-per-views.
You know it.
And got to see him for nothing. And I remember that, 1990. Sitting at home watching it, and I was just like, who is this guy? Holy shit. Holy shit. That's all I kept saying was, holy shit. But I was just drawn in by his character from that day forward. From that moment forward, I was hooked to him.
And with me, that's why I chose the name I've got, because legends. I love the legends. And with Taker, that is going to be one of the biggest legends in history. It is going to go down. And that's going to be the one that I think a lot of people are going to remember, is Taker.
He's clearly incredibly memorable.
Yep.
And we could talk about it for another 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Well, you remember the people crying when Daniel Bryan retired.
Mm-hmm.
Or when Ric Flair made his speech after he was forced into retirement by Shawn Michaels. And you look at what happened last Monday and the crying that was going on. How many people, if Undertaker comes out and does something like that, how many people are going to lose their mind and cry?
Well, look at it after he lost to Roman, when he put his gloves, his coat, everything in the middle of the ring like that. Everybody started crying. They were shocked.
Yeah.
A lot of people were crying then.
Yes,
because they even believed that was the end of The Undertaker.
I did too. I think, George, you believed it.
We all did.
No, anybody who says they didn't believe it is full of shit.
And it honestly, it should have been. But we've been over that.
Yeah. And I said, I cried like a baby, and I don't care what anybody says. If you think less of me, that's your problem, not mine. Because that's how much I was taken in by this character and this man. I've gotten to know the man. I've searched.
You've grown up with him. You've grown old with him, Taker.
Right. He's a year behind me,
right? Pretty much.
He's a year behind me.
Yeah. So you and him have similar career arcs and similar life arcs. You've grown old with him. You've seen him struggle. You've seen him get up. You've seen him be victorious. At the same time, you've been victorious and you've struggled and you've grown up.
Mm.
Like, that's what makes wrestling great. That's kind of where I am with my favorite wrestler, Kazuchika Okada. The guy's a little younger than I am, but I remember when he was a kid, when I was a kid, I couldn't find my way. He was in TNA lost when I was kind of lost right after I graduated college. Mm-hmm. And he became a man, hopefully when I became a man at the same time span. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that connection, and one day, God willing, 20 years from now, I'll be watching wrestling with my kids, and it'll be the Kazuchika Okada retirement show, and they'll say, "Dad, why are you crying?" And I'll say, "Because, a legend retired. Right. A legend is kids. There's a legend here." Yes. I took my cousin to a Bulls game to see LeBron James, and I said, "Just watch. You're watching a legend. You're watching greatness. It doesn't matter that he's for the other team or whatever. This is greatness.
Yeah.
This is a legend. Embrace it. You know, like remember this. Remember this moment. Soak it in. And that's where it was with me with the Undertaker WrestleMania. You know, he was a legend, and I wanted to just soak every minute in that he was out there, because you never know when it's going to be gone, right?
Right. You know, I may never get to see it.
Oh.
See him live. Not that I haven't wanted to or haven't tried, but you know.
That's why if there's ever a legend coming to your town, I mean,
you know, there's a legend that lives in this town from WWE. There's a legend here. Bob Holly.
Eh?
He's a resident of this town.
Okay.
I've seen him around town, but I do not. I leave him be.
Yeah, that's always weird. I would never approach somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's just weird. A person.
I've seen him at Walmart. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at a show, different story. But if he's at Target or whatever, no.
Yeah.
That's just weird. I don't blame you, my friend.
I've seen him at our local Walmart.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I commend you actually for doing that.
The only thing I did is that we made eye contact, and I just nodded my head, and he nodded.
Yeah, that's enough.
It's like I knew who he was, and he knew I knew, but he knew I wasn't going to bother him either.
That's enough.
You know, come on. I mean, shit. That's the way I was. That's the way I've always been. You know, I've outgrown the thing of wanting Sure, I love to get autographs. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to quote unquote stalk them to get it.
Yeah, that's so dumb. The people at the airports and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, come on, guys.
You know,
be a human. My mom says it all the time. Be a human. That's
their time. Let them have their time.
Yeah, be a human, people.
You know, let them have their time. They need their time too. They need to be able to sit there and just be once in a while.
They need, like all of us, right?
Yep.
You know.
Well, wasn't it Sasha Banks that people were complaining because she was being harassed at the airport and she refused to give autographs?
Good for her.
Good for her. Right.
And it was early in the morning, I think.
Yeah, come on.
And
who's ever in a good mood in an airport?
True. I know Chris wasn't today.
Yeah, like come on, guys, be a human. Like we're not asking for much.
Long trips, doing all this stuff, doing stuff like that, they're tired.
It's one thing to get it. It's one thing to get a picture with someone at a show, you know, where you pay your $10 or whatever. Hey, that's totally fair game.
Right.
But I mean, they're at an airport or at Walmart or whatever.
Right. Well, the thing with Undertaker, and this was on I think I sent you a copy of the link. It was when he did a shoot interview with that pastor, and he talks about, you know, even now, you know, he has people that come up in public and ask him for a photo, and he is of the school that, you know, you give the fans that. If, you know, there's certain situations that he won't, like if he's with his family, you know, his wife, kids, he won't. But if he's by himself, he doesn't have a problem. He said the one thing that bothers him is the guy that's over hiding, trying to conceal what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And he sees it. Then they think because he's such a mean dude. And then when they see someone else come up and, you know, no problem. And they do the picture and everything. And he tries to come up and Undertaker's like, no. You didn't have the balls to come up and talk to me, so the answer is no. I saw what you were doing, and that good for him, you know. Good for him.
Approve.
I mean, if you see him and you want to ask. Be prepared to be told no. You know, and that's the worst thing they can tell you. And you know, like you said, be a human. Say thank you very much anyway, and walk on.
Yeah.
Don't get on social media and start talking shit about him because, you know, it's going to make it harder for the rest of us, fans in general.
It makes the rest of us look like idiots.
Yes.
Guys, like, we're not asking for much. Would you want someone to bother you at an airport at 4 in the morning? You know,
I wouldn't if I was some kind of, I mean, my voice has been recognized at the local Walmart. I was on the phone with LL and these two young kids who listened to my show on Saturday mornings, Shooting the Breeze.
Saturdays at
11 Eastern, 10 Central.
yeah. There we go. You're getting it.
And the thing is that they knew who I was, and I was by myself, and I'm not gonna, be rude. And they asked if they could get a photo, and I said, no. And they're like, but why? I said, because. I said, nobody really sees my face. I said, that's my choice. I don't want people to see me. I want the mystery and the mystique to remain of who I am.
You want the kayfabe.
Right. Live the kayfabe. Live the gimmick. I live the gimmick when I'm on Shooting the Breeze.
And they understood.
And they completely understood. These are teenagers, like 14, 15 years old, but they understood.
And you sat and talked to them for a little bit.
I stood there and talked to them for like 5 minutes.
Nice.
And I made their day just because I took the time to talk to them.
You were human.
I was human to them.
You were human, and they were human to you.
And it's nice to see. And yes, Chris, I could imagine. So you didn't want anybody. He was at the airport at 4:00 this morning, and he said he didn't want anybody talking to him at all.
No.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, Chris.
I don't either. I mean, why aren't you in bed already? You should be asleep, Chris.
Yeah. Well, Chris keeps weird hours.
I know. Does he work from home a lot or something?
No, he just never sleeps.
No kidding.
No sleep, just wrestling and streaming.
and podcasting.
Yeah, and podcasting.
But no, yeah.
Well, look at, there's something that we haven't really talked about with Undertaker.
What's that?
Is look at when he traveled, especially with Paul Bearer. William Moody, look at the stuff that Paul Bearer would tell us what he would do. The jokes, the ribs, and stuff that Undertaker would pull.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fun part that he used to pull on people.
What's that?
Well, remember when they were driving? I forgot where it was. It was snow. It was winter. It was cold out.
Yeah.
He had to get gas.
But he needed to go to the bathroom?
Yep.
Yeah. And
Mark made him get gas first.
Made him get gas first, so he pissed himself. And by the time they got to the next town, there was a present sitting on a table for Percy from Vince. a box of Depends.
Hey, that'll learn you, right?
But the truth, the secret is out. There is something that the Undertaker cannot stand. One thing that just gives him the willies and makes him want to puke. Cucumbers.
Cucumbers.
He does not like he doesn't like to even like to see them.
What's weird fact for me? I love cucumbers. I love salt. I love vinegar. But when you combine all of them together in the form of a pickle, I can't stand them. Like all of them separately, I love. Love cucumbers, love salt, love vinegar.
Don't forget the garlic either.
Yeah, love garlic. Sure.
You just don't like the pickles.
Just don't like them all combined together.
You just don't like pickles, okay?
Yeah, but I love everything separate, but together, it's just, not so good.
But Paul Bearer will say that, or Paul Bearer has said on this, and it's that straight shooting series that Jim Cornette did with ROH way back. And this one's almost 3 hours long. It's Jim Cornette and Paul Bearer just talking. sitting on the couch talking.
Hmm.
And he said he'd seen the Undertaker puke because a cucumber wind up in his iced tea.
Wow. Well, a cucumber and iced tea sounds kind of gross, anyways. So,
But he said that,
I'm with you there.
or there would be cucumbers inside of his when he wore the glove.
His glove.
The purple glove.
Oh.
There'd be cucumbers in the fingers.
Huh. Okay.
Somebody would put him in there.
He and Paul was like, I don't know who. We all know it's Paul. We all know it's Paul.
Getting even because of the ribs that Undertaker would pull on him.
Yeah, Undertaker was the only one that could rib William Moody Paul Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
And people tried to rib Taker in the locker room, and he'd always catch him beforehand. Or he'd always would know. And no one ever. But
he could get anybody else.
yeah, but he got a lot of people, but Paul got him with the cucumbers. And it's like, what his nickname was.
Wendy.
Wendy. They called him Wendy.
Paul did.
Huh.
Because, his red hair.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, I get
Wendy
it.
from the fast food.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, the red hair, plus it was long.
Yeah. I got you.
So
It
yeah.
took me a second. A little slow on the uptake today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's getting late for us.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah.
But the thing is outside of wrestling, he was a good guy. You could hear him talk on interviews. And then when you listen to Percy, Paul Bearer, you hear about other stuff that was done outside.
Yeah. And if anybody would know, it would be him. They spent the good part of 10 years together.
Yeah, they did.
They knew each other very intimately. They knew, things that they knew a lot of things about one another. And that was always, that was a manager who did his job, actually a manager, or, Paul would swear up and down that Taker would do this, is that he'd get the office to call Paul because he'd have everything set up, airline tickets, maps, everything all set up,
Hotel rooms,
cars, all of that. And then all of a sudden the office would call with a change of schedule. No, we need you to go here, then go here, then go there. So he's sitting there trying to change it all. Just as he gets it all done, the office will go, no, cancel that.
We're going it back the way it was.
And put it back to the way it was.
But what it was Undertaker actually calling the office, having him do it to mess with Paul.
Because Paul was anal about that stuff. He'd have rental cars or car services, airline tickets, room reservations, everything set before they went out on the road.
Okay.
And then Taker would probably do something, call someone in the office, and
that would be that.
That would be that. They'd get him to change it all. Then they said, no, change it back to the normal thing. We changed our mind.
Crazy.
Yeah, mess him up. He did it all the time.
The supreme judge of wrestlers' court was the Undertaker in the locker room, too. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah, he was.
JBL talks about that.
It was. He was very much the end of an era. Is when he stopped being full time.
Yeah.
So.
But it's like the person that took over the locker room as locker room leader had the Taker seal of approval for it. And that was Joe Anoa'i, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And that tells you just how much respect Undertaker had for him.
Well, not only that, think of it when you listen to some of the interviews a little bit from other wrestlers after Joe brought up that he had leukemia and he put the title down. They even said they're going to miss him in the locker room. He kept the locker room under control.
He kept the locker room loose.
He kept it under control.
Right. But he also kept everybody loose. Nobody got real tight.
And this is what, what he did. So now it's going to be harder because he's not going to be there. Undertaker's not there.
Yeah, who's going to step up? That's the question.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We shall see.
It
will not be easy, my friends.
No.
Not at all.
Imagine how much pressure was on Roman Reigns, being the locker room leader after the Undertaker was for so many years. Just think about the pressure that he was under. You know, the standard was set.
Absolutely.
And I believe Roman lived up to the standard. And when it came time that something came up that he had to deal with, he came out and he destroyed kayfabe, which was fine with me.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Because he wanted to be true.
And I'll talk about this a little more on Thursday. That guy standing in the ring on Monday night, that's the guy. Not Roman Reigns with the flak jacket and the ooh and the pumping of his fists.
No.
That genuine guy. You let that guy can be in charge. You can be the head of your company.
Yeah.
Not this gimmicked guy that we're trying to present and be cool. But that guy, the one standing in the ring with his hair pulled back and his t-shirt
in the man bun
and his authenticness,
yes,
which we talk about. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I knew when he said, I come out here and spoken as Roman Reigns. I'm like, it's about to get real. I knew at that point something because
we were doing the show.
We were doing the show, but I went back and listened to it and watched it.
So,
and when he said that, it was like that there would be, even if I was watching and I wasn't doing this show on Monday nights, that right there would be the bell that would ring alarm bells in my head. Shit's about to get real here.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. That was a tip.
And then when he says he's come out there and he's lied to everybody, tell him a lie.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
Sucked. It sucked. There's no other way around it.
Nope.
It just sucked. So, I got anything else?
No, I don't.
But yeah, it didn't, because he came out and he told everybody what was going on. That was the good thing about it. He was out there. He became real. What sucked is that it happened to him where he had to come out and do that.
And the folks out there there's people out there, and I'm sure you've seen it, George. Some people on wrestling Twitter have said, "Oh, this is another ploy just to get him over." Oh,
nobody's gonna pull that.
How much backlash would WWE get for that?
My problem, and I'll go into this more in detail on Thursday. I don't have a problem at Thursday's 9/8 Central. Thank you.
Yep.
My problem is them working their backstage. Like, this man who is clearly very well respected by his peers, and they wouldn't have him tell anybody beforehand. So then you cut to the announcers, and poor Renee Young and Corey Graves are sitting there like they're at a funeral because you couldn't give them a heads up beforehand on live television.
No.
And Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are in tears because they had no idea what was going on. And their very real grief is on TV because you want a moment.
Paul Heyman in the ring next segment crying.
Yeah, like you couldn't tell anybody beforehand. You couldn't say, "Hey guys, this really sucks. and but you need to know this 10 minutes before the world knows this, so you can have a chance to prepare yourself without an HD camera in your face. Like that made me kind of uncomfortable, to be honest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? How I may not be portraying it right, but that made me a little uncomfortable when they were just like, we're gonna work our talent,
But
like,
sometimes it's what's needed
to show real emotion,
to get true emotion out of these folks, to get true feelings and the love and support that came.
But I don't think the love and support wouldn't have been there, though.
Right, but it wouldn't. It. How can I put it? If they knew, it would be more canned. The canned typical.
But I'd rather it be more canned than
surprise.
see Corey Graves and Renee Young in tears, and because they don't know, because no one told them, because they were blindsided. Like, that just seemed kind of unnecessary to me. They were all blindsided. Yeah, they were all blindsided. But it just seemed a little uncomfortable to me, is all. But
I think Trips knew.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure the powers that be knew, but it just seemed, like I said, just
Yeah.
Powers that be knew, but nobody else did.
Yeah.
Maybe they asked him how he wanted to handle it. Who knows?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because,
but
it's like getting back to the subject here. Excuse me. Undertaker, when he does do his retirement, when he does retire, is he going to have the big speech, or is he going to fade off?
I don't know.
Does he owe the fandom a goodbye like that? No. This man has lived his gimmick his entire career in WWE.
He has. You're right.
When he's home and away from everything, he's Mark. He's a father, a husband. He does all the parenting things. But when he's in the ring, or he's got that, or he does an interview, well, I should say, when he used to do interviews, he was always in character. It's only been in the last 5 or 6 years that he's done shoot interviews where he's just himself. And the voice is completely different. It's not the raspy down, deep voice that he uses as The Undertaker now. He's more of a middle of the road voice. A very unobtrusive voice. But to listen to him, he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this business.
And you know what? Hey, do you know what else he does? He dresses like Biker Taker.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he wanted the gimmick.
Because, well, he loves riding his bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing he loves to do.
Yeah. Well, anything else, guys?
No, sir. Not on my end.
LL?
No.
All right, guys. I think we'll finish this up, wrap this up then. It's been an interesting conversation. We went all over the place with Undertaker and with Kane, but that's how it goes here. We compare the past to the present.
Mm-hmm.
And see how it would apply. Although we did some reverse this time. We took a current over wrestler and say, would he be over in the 60s? Would he be over in the 70s? Of course he would. Because that was more the type of stuff back then. But anywho, George, where can they find you, good sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Atsaves, G-A-T-S-A-V as in Victor E-S. My other podcast is Two Guys, One Sport. You can listen to that Thursdays, 9, 8 Central. We are back from our 1-week hiatus. My show's Twitter is at Two Guys, One Sport, the number 2 and the number 1.
I missed you guys last week. My week was not complete. I was like lost.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. We'll be back this week.
Okay, so my moral compass will be back in focus.
We'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel.
LL, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Windstorm64. You can find me right here every Monday night.
And of course, you can always find me at Takers_Minion on Twitter. You can find me on Shooting the Breeze every Saturday morning, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, except on the weekends on the Big Four pay-per-views, which I go on an hour early. Ladies and gentlemen, get your nominees in starting next month for Shooting the Breeze of who you think and what you think are your best matches today. You know, if you listen to the Golden Bullet Award from last year, we had like 26 categories. I think we got them all done. It took us 4 hours, but it was a good show. And I think I'm going to try to have the whole group together again. That's including you, George.
Oh,
so that would be that'll be the 29th of December, the last show of the year, just like last year.
Okay.
We're also coming into November, and the first week, next Monday night, is Hall of Fame time again for the Connoisseurs. So we'll be doing that. We'll be inducting someone into the Hall of Fame. Not sure who it is yet. You know, all we ask is that you give us a listen, like and subscribe to our channel, like and subscribe to all the channels that are talked about here. And this has been episode 26 of the Connoisseurs of Wrestling. You know, talking about Undertaker and finishing up with Kane. You know, finishing up Kane and talking about Undertaker. Everybody be good to one another. Love one another. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Night.